All right, the next item on our agenda is Thanksgiving, and this is something we've never done before as long as I've been on the commission, but it seemed very appropriate because there's some stuff we're really, really thankful for. So I wrote to the Cameron Peak Fire folks. I let them know that we wanted to give a shout out and thank them for what they had done in terms of saving our historic places. So first, I just wanted to start with these two that I know have been lost. On the left, that cabin is just one part of, had several additions on it, but I believe the cabin was built by Norman Fry, and that's what he used to prove up his land on Twin Pines. And that was, it's kind of up a canyon, and they couldn't send men up to protect it because they might have gotten trapped in the canyon. So we lost that building. And then Pinehurst is on the right, and that picture at the bottom is, oh shoot, now I forget their name. He was a pharmacist in Fort Collins, and that was their property, and that's a picture in that front porch that you can see on the upper right. That's Pinehurst, and that's also been lost. So those are the two historic buildings I know of that we lost, but there are many, many, many that were saved. So on the upper right, that's just the cabin that I showed you is kind of up the canyon. Then Pinehurst is kind of down closer to the road. And then if you kept going downriver, that building on the upper right is Fairkites, and that's also where Norman Fry lived, kind of retired to. And that did make it. I heard some outbuildings were lost, but I believe the house itself is still with us. Arrowhead Lodge is just up the river, and that's in the lower right corner there. The Pooter Canyon Chapel, which is in the center there, that's a Bill Robb building, I believe, and that is still standing. And then Eggers School in the lower left is still standing. And then in the upper left, that's Kinnick. And these are all pictures I took a couple years ago. So there might be fire damage around these buildings now, but all of these buildings I know are still standing. So thank you, firefighters, for that. Oh, and also Bliss Ranch and Glen Echo, but I didn't have any pictures of them. This is the Manhattan Cemetery. You'll see the fence on the right there in the photo still standing. And if you look to the left of those crosses, you see those standing stumps. That is all fence that burned. This used to all be surrounded by fence. And so the fire came that close to these wooden grave markers, and the wooden grave markers are still there. I can only imagine either God has his angels there or there were firefighters there, and that could be one and the same. So this is a picture that Ken Jessen took to show how it's looking now, and I'm so thankful that those are still there, because that's pretty much all that's left of Manhattan is that cemetery. So I contacted a gal that's up in Estes Park. She works at the YMCA museum there, and she said that the historic YMCA camp was saved. And this is a photo of the fire line around the Dorsey Museum. So that's the museum, that larger building there on the left, and that the plowed ground is all just protection from the fire so that it wouldn't burn those buildings down. They did have one building that sustained damage. It was the Rainbow Ranch, and it was not fire damage. It was because they turned the utilities off in the fire, and then some pipes froze and burst. So they had some water damage instead of fire damage. But that was all. There were many, many buildings on that campus, and they are all good. Also, the historic buildings at Bobcat Ridge were saved. And I know a lot of Bobcat Ridge burned. So that's another big, huge thank you. So we want to send out a big thank you to all of the firefighters, support staff, and everyone else who put themselves in harm's way in order to save these places that are precious to us and to our local history. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all that you've done. And Ken Jessen took this picture of the Kinnick store with the big thank you fighters, which is so appropriate because I think we would have lost most of this without the firefighters. Thank you.